For over 2 decades, a predator haunted the streets of South Los Angeles, leaving a trail of bodies in dark alleys and trash heaps along Western Avenue. Because of a 14-year hiatus in his crimes, he was dubbed the Grim Sleeper. This killer targeted vulnerable black women during the height of the crack cocaine epidemic. This case eventually became solvable with the help of DNA. The investigation was defined by decades of missed opportunities, community outrage, and the overwhelming noise of a city gripped by a literal epidemic of serial murders. You're listening to Lurking in the Shadows.
Hello, Shadows.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to Lurking in the Shadows. I am Kirsten.
And I am Amber.
And we are your hosts.
Yes. And today is my case.
Woo!
Woo! I actually never heard about this serial murderer until we started the podcast and I was doing some research and it came up. So,
okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the Grim Sleeper.
I think I came across it, but I don't know anything about it.
No, yeah. So, which always interests me when a serial killer comes up that we don't know.
Yeah.
Because I always find it quite interesting that somebody can get away with so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
And with that intro, he got away with it for a very, very long time. So,
well, he at least was caught. So,
yeah, at least do this, baby. All right. Yeah. All right. On August 30th, 1952, Lonnie David Franklin Jr. was born in South Central Los Angeles. He joined the Army but would be dishonorably discharged in July of 1975. This was after he spent months in prison for an incident that occurred in April of 1974. Him and two other service members approached a 17-year-old girl to ask for directions while stationed in Stuttgart, West Germany. They offered her a ride where they kidnapped her at knife point and drove her to an empty field. They all then raped her, and she was able to get out of it by pretending to like them and befriend them, and even got Franklin's phone number.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When she informed police of what happened, they made a plan to lure Franklin to arrest him. They had her lure him to a train station, and when she gave a signal to the police, they arrested him. After the arrest, they also found evidence of pictures from the rape that the men had taken.
What?
Yeah, disgusting. Military men. Ugh. He was, I'm just kidding. He was sentenced to 3 years. Only 3 years and 4 months for this rape and the kidnapping, but he only served less than a year.
Wow.
Yep, and then he was discharged.
Why do we let these people serve less time?
I don't know. Yeah. Why? Like what? Because they're well behaved in there? Of course they are.
Right. There's no such thing as good behavior.
No. They're locked in I'm going to be well behaved in a little cell as well.
Right.
Everybody would be.
Mm-hmm.
Only one other time was Franklin in jail for a petty crime besides the murders. In 1989, while getting away with the murders, is when he was arrested and convicted of assault, battery, and 2 theft charges. He only served a few months for the theft charges. So let me set up the big picture of what Los Angeles was like during this time. The LAPD's job was complicated by the sheer volume of violence in Los Angeles. Between the 1970s and 1990s, Los Angeles was the hunting ground for more than 24 active serial killers.
Dang.
While the grim, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
24.
Los
I
Angeles,
can't even think of 24.
yeah. While the Grim Sleeper was dumping bodies in the alleys of South Central, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, was terrorizing the suburbs, and the South Side Slayer was active in the same neighborhood as Franklin was. In fact, police initially struggled to determine if the murderers were the work of a single man or several different killers operating in a city that averaged over 1,000 homicides a year.
Yeah, I'm sure that was difficult to figure out.
Yeah, just in a year, in one city, 1,000
crazy.
homicides. That is crazy.
I'd be moving out.
I mean, we visited Los Angeles, and I would never live there. You know, we had our nice little time, but it was it had its moments.
Yeah.
Also, as far as profiling goes, Franklin did not fit the statistics as the average serial killer. 80% of killers are usually white and between the ages of 20 to 30 years old. Franklin was 32 years old and was also a black man when he had started his crimes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Police suspected these crimes for the first 3 years were racially fueled because of all the victims were black women. These crimes also never took priority in the beginning for police because these crimes were in rough neighborhoods and the police did not care about them.
It's kind of like the Freeway Phantom. I mean, he hasn't been found, but his victims were black, and they suspect that he was also black.
Yeah. And that one was, if you guys didn't listen to that one, that was a
And it's
good one.
yeah, a
Yeah.
doozy.
That was a doozy. The Grim Sleeper, who worked as a sanitation worker for LA, began his crimes on August 10th, 1985. It all started with the discovery of 29-year-old Deborah Jackson. She was in an alley near West Gage Avenue. She had been shot 3 times in the chest with a .25 caliber pistol and hidden under a piece of discarded carpet. Right after this, Franklin would marry Sylvia Franklin. They would then have 2 children together. And over the next 3 years, the bodies of 6 more women were found within a small radius where Franklin was familiar with.
So weird when these men have wives and children, and then, oh, I'm just gonna murder women on the side.
Yeah, he's literally actively doing these crimes, and then like his personal life is like, oh, let's get married and fall in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The gun used in all of these murders was later linked to each other. The names of these women were Henrietta Wright, Barbara Warr, Bernita Sparks, Mary Lowe, Latrika Jefferson, and Alicia Alexander. And I'm going to go over each one of these victims. So Henrietta Wright was a 35-year-old woman and was found on August 12th, 1986. She was found in an alley near West Vernon Avenue. Henrietta had been shot multiple times, which is the signature move for Franklin, and her body was concealed beneath a discarded mattress. Barbara Warr was 23 years old and found on January 10th, 1987. Barbara's body was found in an alley on East 56th Street. She died from a single gunshot wound to the chest. An anonymous caller, who we later suspected to be Franklin himself, had actually called 911 to report seeing her body being dumped from a van.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Bernita Sparks was 26 years old and found on April 15th, 1987. Her body was discovered in a trash can on Southwestern Avenue. She had been shot in the chest. The location of her discovery was only 1 block away from where Franklin's final victim would be found 20 years later.
That just shows you how much women literally don't mean anything to him, just discarding her in a trash can.
Yeah, that is what he does to every single one. He literally, and I have a quote later from him, and it'll put you in perspective of what, his mindset was, of course.
Hmm.
Mary Lowe was also 26 years old and found on October 31st, 1987. Found on Halloween night in an alley on Western Avenue. She died from a gunshot wound to the chest, and her body had been covered up with a piece of cloth and covered by discarded trash. Mm-hmm. Latrika Jefferson was 22 years old and was found on January 30th, 1988. Found in an alley in Westmount. She had been shot twice in the chest. A weird detail, Franklin had placed a napkin over her face before leaving her for this one.
Weird.
Yeah.
Wonder if he maybe knew her in some way. I don't know.
I don't know. And like sometimes, like I don't want to sit here and pretend like this man had any kind of fucking feelings or like, but you kind of wonder if that smidge of a human that has to be in there like comes out like and wants to cover the face because you're guilty type of thing.
Right, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, but like I don't want these people don't have feelings. Alicia Alexander was 18 years old and found on September 11th, 1988. She was found in an alley near 43rd Place. She died from a gunshot wound to the chest, and her body was nude and had been covered with a blue plastic tarp. DNA was collected at every scene. On November 20th, 1988, Franklin made his first and only known mistake with his next victim. He saw Henrietta Washington walking to a friend's house, so he started following in his car. He offered her a ride and insisted she get in the car after her refusal. He made her get in, and after she got in, he said, quote, "That's what's wrong with you black women. People can't be nice to you," end quote. And then he shot her in the chest once as soon as she sat down in the car.
Is his wife black?
I didn't look, but I didn't see any pictures of her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure, actually.
That's what's wrong with you black women?
Yeah.
And sir, you're black yourself, and I'm assuming his wife is? I mean, maybe she wasn't, but
Maybe she wasn't. I
there
don't know.
wasn't interracial marriages as often back then.
Back then. Yeah. Yeah. Especially not accepted. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, it's almost safe to assume that his wife may have been of the same race.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So as she was shot in the chest as she sat down, she was able to ask him why before passing out. He screamed, "Because you disrespected me." He took a picture of her and sexually assaulted her in the passenger seat of his orange Ford Pinto. Thinking she was dead, he pushed her out of the car. This bad bitch survived, providing the police with their first description: a black male, polite but oddly cold, driving a car with white racing stripes.
Hell yeah, we got him.
Yep, so this is the first time they're like learning that this is a black man doing this.
Mm-hmm. Did he sexually assault the other victims? Or did he
Yeah,
just...
he was sexually assaulting all the victims, yes. Supposedly, that's where a lot of the DNA came from each scene, I believe,
okay.
was semen. Supposedly, after this attack, the trail went cold for 14 years, and this is where the quote-unquote sleep period gave Franklin his nickname.
Okay.
Former LA Weekly editor Jill Stewart stated, quote, "He was the longest running in the United States west of the Mississippi. He had been operating longer than anyone else that was known, and he stopped for 13 years, or it looked like he did," end quote. However, today investigators now believe there was no actual hiatus. After Franklin was arrested, police found hundreds of photographs of women in his garage, and a ballistics evidence later linked him to murders that occurred during the supposed sleeping years. And I'll list those victims later. In reality, and really you shouldn't be surprised by this, but likely a failure of police record keeping and a lack of forensic evidence, plus there was no communication between departments in their findings to link these things together.
Yeah.
And this is why these crimes a lot of the times were not connected and solved. During the 1980s, the LAPD believed a single Southside Slayer was responsible for nearly 100 murders, and we now know that at least 4 different serial killers were active in South LA simultaneously. And those were Michael Hughes, Chester Turner, Lewis Crane, and Lonnie Franklin. Also, probably not a surprise, a lot of the black victims were reported as just someone who died on the streets from either drugs or, the hard life that they were living. So these victims were not properly documented. Police only had a suspicion that these murders of these black women were somehow related. And since it wasn't confirmed, police never notified the communities about a serial killer in the area. They also were unable to tell the families that their family members were victims of a serial killer. And I think this would have helped in connecting all of these crimes together. You get the word out and maybe you start making connections.
Mm-hmm.
After this 14-year hiatus, bodies began appearing again, though Franklin had changed his methods slightly and began strangling his victims. Okay, so here are his next victims after his 14-year hiatus that began popping up. Princess Bartholomew, I think is how you would say that, was only 15 years old and was found on March 19th, 2002. The youngest confirmed victim, her nude body was found in an alley in Inglewood. Unlike his other victims, Princess was strangled and beaten to death, and her body was hidden in the suburbs. Valerie McCorvey was 35 years old and was found on July 11th, 2003. She was found on Denker Avenue. She had been strangled to death. Her body was partially clothed and dumped in an area where Franklin was known to frequent. Janisha Peters was 25 years old and found on January 1st, 2007.
Oh, wow.
Yep. The final and 11th confirmed victim. Her body was found by someone rifling through a dumpster. She had been shot in the back, which paralyzed her, and then strangled. She was strangled to death.
Wow.
So his old method of shooting came back for this crime.
Mm-hmm.
Her body was wrapped in a heavy-duty garbage bag tied with zip ties, the same zip ties that would later yield the DNA evidence used to catch Franklin.
Oh, okay.
The investigation gained the attention it needed in 2007 when the body of Janisha Peters was found in that dumpster. DNA collected from her remains, including DNA from the zip ties, matched the cold cases from the 1980s. The LAPD formed the 800 task force, but they hit a wall when they discovered the killer's DNA was not in CODIS. He had never been convicted of any kind of qualifying felony in the state of California, so his DNA was not collected.
Oh, wow.
So they can link the DNA to these crimes that they have. They just can't identify who this man is yet.
Mm-hmm.
The police also never announced this new murder was connected to the murders from the 1980s. It's a lot of failure on police, like letting the community know, like all these things are connected. And I feel like I know, like sometimes they try and keep information in so that it protects things. But I feel like if they would have released things, maybe we could have made a connection quicker.
Yeah.
What did help get the word out about the connection was Christine Pelisek, who wrote her popular LA Weekly article called, quote, Grim Sleeper Returns. He's murdering Angelone. I can't do it. Angelinos as cops hunt his DNA, end quote. That's as good as we're getting.
It works.
All right. This also was the article that officially coined Franklin his nickname, the Grim Sleeper. In 2008, California became the first state to allow familial DNA searching. Instead of looking for an exact match, they entered the information in hopes they got a distant match. Someone in the database who shared enough genetic markers to be a parent, child, or sibling of the killer, like how we discussed in our DNA episode.
Check that out.
Yeah. In 2008, the biggest lead came when a search returned a match for Christopher Franklin, a young man who had recently been convicted of a felony weapons charge. Investigators knew Christopher was too young to be the killer in the 1980s, so they decided to look into his father, Lonnie David Franklin Jr. Some big details they learned about Franklin during his crimes was that he did work as a former city sanitation worker and also as an LAPD garage attendant.
Oh.
He had lived in the center of the killing area for decades. He was popular with his neighbors, often seen fixing his car in his driveway, but he was also known to frequent areas associated with local drug scene. This is all a theory that they had, of course, because they had not gotten into contact with Franklin yet. So to confirm their theory without alerting Franklin, undercover officers followed him to Bono Speranza Pizza Parlor in July of 2010. Posing as a waiter, an officer collected a discarded piece of pizza crust and a napkin that Franklin had used.
I love when they sneakily get their DNA.
I know. Me too. It's my favorite. I don't know why. I just like picture a movie in my head like happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The lab results were definitive. The DNA on the pizza crust matched the DNA found on the bodies of 10 women and the clothing of Henrietta Washington.
Wow.
On July 7th, 2010, the unassuming Franklin was at home and was taken into custody.
Gotcha.
Yeah, bitch. After collecting evidence, police turned to the public's help to identify victims before the trial. In December of 2010, LAPD released 180 pictures of who they believed to be additional victims and still remained identified.
180.
180 pictures.
Wow.
Police Chief Charlie Beck stated when releasing these photos, quote, "These people are not suspects. We don't even know if they are victims, but we do know this. Lonnie Franklin's reign of terror in the city of Los Angeles, which spanned well over 2 decades, culminating with almost a dozen murder victims, certainly needs to be investigated further," end quote. These photos were mostly Black women from an age range of teenage to middle-aged. Some are nude, some are unconscious, and to me, they were all victims somehow.
Yeah.
On top of the thousands of photos, they also found several hundred hours of home videos
Of what?
of his crimes.
He recorded his crimes?
Mm, I don't know if it was all of them, but yeah, some of them. He had over 100 hours of home videos of his crimes. Lonnie Franklin Jr.'s trial began on, I put February 16th, 2016.
Wow, that was recent.
Yep. The most dramatic moment occurred when Henrietta Washington took the stand, pointing directly at Franklin and identifying him as the man who shot her 28 years earlier. Prosecutors presented a spread of over 1,000 photos found in Franklin's garage of his victims, leading many to believe that his actual victim count could exceed 25.
Hmm.
During the sentencing phase, prosecutors introduced evidence for several other murders to show that Franklin had been active during his sleeping years. And these six women were Sharon Dismuke, was 21 years old, and her body was found on January 15th, 1984. It's found in South Park. She was shot in the chest and her body discarded in an identical way to all of Franklin's other victims. Thomas Steele was 36 years old and was found on August 14th, 1986. He was the only male victim linked to Franklin. He was found shot in Harvard Park. Police believe he may have been killed because he was a friend of a victim or because he had stumbled upon Franklin's crimes.
Oh, okay.
Inez Warren was 28 years old and was found on August 15th, 1988. She was first discovered unconscious in an alley after being shot, but unfortunately she later died at the hospital. Georgia Mae Thomas was 43 years old and was found on December 28th, 2000. She was shot to death in South Park. Her death occurred right in the middle of the sleeping period, proving that Franklin was still active.
So why did they think he had a sleeping period if there's proof that he was still killing?
So all of these murders that I'm telling you about, the crimes and like the linking of them is coming out while the trials are happening.
Oh, okay.
So all these names that I'm giving you right now, he's never charged with these because they did not want to charge him because the trial had taken so long. Like we're already in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
The DNA was in 2010. So it took so long that then as the years went on and they're investigating more and they linked him to these, they decided not to charge him and go to trial for all of these murders because it would have just wasted more time. So he's
That's
linked to these. Yeah, he's linked to these, but is never charged or anything to these because they came out. And even more victims I have later to tell you that came out after he's charged and in prison. Okay. More came out.
He's pretty prolific then.
Yeah, that's what I had no idea about. And he went on for so long.
Yeah.
Because they thought there was a sleeping period, but there really wasn't. I mean, you really going to believe a serial killer is going to sleep for 14 years?
Right.
Yeah. Rolene Morris and Ayla Marshall, both women who disappeared in 2005, while their bodies were never found, their ID cards and photos, including sexually explicit images of them, were found hidden in Franklin's garage behind a workbench.
Oh, wow.
So there's victims where we don't even have their bodies.
Yeah. I'm guessing he
And
didn't
like,
tell them either.
and what else would have happened to them? He has pictures in their ID cards. Like, come on.
He might not even know at this point what happened to them.
Yeah. Franklin is not charged with any of these murders because prosecutors did not want to delay the trials any further. After Franklin's trials, there were uh, an additional 6 victims that were discovered. That again, he was never charged with, and like I said, these were discovered after the trial, and he was found guilty. Catherine Davis was 33 years old and was last seen on June 9th, 1983 in Los Angeles near the 400 block of West 94th Street. She has never been seen or heard from again, but is suspected to be a victim of Franklin's.
Okay.
Rosalind Giles was 27 years old and last seen in January of 1991. I don't have any other information on her. And these names of these victims I actually got off of the LAPD website, that they are looking for any more information on these victims that they suspect are Franklin's victims.
Okay.
Anita Yolanda Parker was 37 years old and is missing since November 17th, 1998. She was last seen on the 600 block of Brynhurst Avenue in LA. Edwina Hereford was 19 years old, and her body was found on May 16th, 2010, 11 days after Franklin is sentenced. She was found in Paramount, California, off of Highway 105 near Garfield Avenue. She was pushed out of a speeding car and had blunt force trauma to the head. She was found within an hour of her death. She was last seen near Imperial Highway at a Snappy's liquor store in Westmount, California. They have no evidence to connect this murder, but she was found in the same area as his other victims. When the lead investigator in her case was asked if the Grim Sleeper was related to this murder, they said they hadn't ruled it out yet. Edwina Hereford's case remains open.
It's sad.
Yeah. Well, on May 5th, 2016, Franklin was found guilty of 10 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. He was sentenced to death. On March 28th, 2020, at the age of 67, Lonnie Franklin Jr. died of natural causes in his cell at San Quentin State Prison.
Darn.
I know.
Natural
We caught
causes.
him. Yeah, literally, he went to jail for 4 years for his crimes and then died.
I hate when that shit happens.
What? Yeah, what the fuck, man?
That's not justice.
No, and also, like, he killed way more. He obviously did. He
No,
had
yeah,
thousands of photos. He didn't sleep. There was no sleeping period.
that's nasty. And his wife didn't
Yeah.
suspect a thing.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe I should have looked into his wife more. I mean, I don't ever want to like bring attention to people who are
Mm-hmm.
innocent, especially like I don't think it's right to always blame the wives because people can have secrets. They really
Mm-hmm.
can. I believe that. That you can have 2 lives and keep it from the other person. So, I never want, a wife or anything to get bad attention, but I don't know what happened with her, if she suspected anything or
Because I also wonder, like, what time of the day was he committing all these crimes? Like, was he always gone at nighttime, or?
I'm guessing night because it seems, I mean, these were a lot of sex workers or
Mm-hmm. Did
what's the
he
proper
work
word?
night shift? Do you know?
He's sanitation, so I'm guessing he's probably working a 9 to 5,
Hmm.
or really early
Yeah.
mornings if
Because
he's
I was like, oh, well,
doing.
maybe if he's at work, his wife wouldn't have suspected. Like, why are you gone every night or certain nights? But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, but crazy little serial killer that got away for a long time. And I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't fit the profile of a serial killer at
Mm-hmm.
all. So that's also a struggle for police. But
Yeah.
I think, like a lot of LAPD cases, a lot of the ball was dropped on some things and maybe it could have been solved sooner. But
Yeah. But also at the same time, they do have a lot of crime that they have to investigate. I'm
a
sure they are
thousand
overworked and understaffed.
homicides a year in
Mm-hmm.
one city.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is 3 murders a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in a
that's
city.
yeah. Where
That
do you
is
begin?
crazy. Yeah. Like, I don't know how many people were on the police force, but like that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. That is a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought
Every
that was
world
an
we live
interesting.
in.
Yeah, it is. And we love. I mean, personally, I not that I love. That's a terrible word, but I find it interesting to cover serial killers, especially if we haven't heard of them. So if you guys
Yeah.
have serial killer suggestions, we will definitely take them.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up and check us out on other social medias.
Please subscribe to our channel, hit the bell to be notified of future uploads, and keep lurking around for our next video. Bye!
Bye.